Detroit Techno, highly influential. Go to Ibiza, the influence of Detroit Techno permeates the air. You go to Germany, basically techno is cultural life, and even life in general in Germany, and Detroit Techno has profoundly influenced that. There is a triumvirate of importance in terms of Detroit Techno. Three guys who are the formative guys. There are guys in front of them. There are guys behind them. There are guys adjunct to them. But these three guys are the kind of, the kind of main figures, central figures. And they work under the name, the pseudonym of the Belleville Three. It's Juan Atkins, who is considered the godfather of Detroit Techno. You have Derek May, who is the innovator, and you have Kevin Saunderson, who's kind of achieved worldwide success. Belleville, because they're from Belleville, just outside Detroit, kind of a rural town. Kevin comes from Brooklyn originally, but Kevin and Derek wanted to be ball players in terms of they wanted to be American football players. And then they got interested in DJing. Now, Juan Atkins had been a bass player and decided to get into DJing, and then migrated into buying a synth, a sampler, and a drum machine. And he taught Derek and Kevin the rudiments of turntablism. And so they mastered that. So by the time they were done with that, Kevin had mastered the kind of the synth, or Juan had mastered the synth, the sampler, and the drum machine, and he was beginning to teach them that. So they would sample stuff. I mean, their influences are kind of George Clinton, Parliament, Bootsy Collins, but also the European invasion, Kraftwerk, Tangerine Dream, Visage, Ultravox, and Depeche Mode. They influenced them. And basically, they would take elements of those songs, extract things, and then basically build tracks around them. So you take an element and then you kind of build a bass line, build a drum section, and build around that. But eventually, Juan Atkins was able to kind of create his own stuff. And a great example of this is Kevin Saunderson. He basically had his attic converted, and Kevin was in there, and he was kind of making an album for himself. And he called a friend in Chicago, and he said, "Look, I've got this thing going at the moment, cooking. Got any ideas?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I know a vocalist called Paris Gray. You should give her a call." And he did. And basically, they formed a group called Inner City, which had massive worldwide success in terms of 9 top 40 tracks and several top 20 albums. So highly, highly successful. And again, some of kind of their influences, I've got intersections with. For example, with Tangerine Dream via Conrad Schnitzler, Depeche Mode. I used to teach a chap called John O'Malley in the Wright Music Centre, late 80s, early 90s. John O'Malley worked with Depeche Mode engineering on one of their albums. And they are, the Belleville Three, are profoundly influenced by Depeche Mode and by Ultravox and Visage. Midjour and Billy Currie were on Philip Lynot's first album. So was Mark Nausif. But some people who've been profoundly influenced by them have influenced me, like Autechre and Aphex Twin. They were both, profoundly influenced by Detroit Techno. And again, that's evident in emblematic in their music. And that has influenced me, not a huge amount, but it has. Their influences. So the Belleville Three are an influence of mine. They are significant American cultural icons. Major, not just in Detroit, but in America. They're major figures. But also their impact on the world is significant. As I already mentioned, on Berlin Techno, intriguing because Kraftwerk influenced them. Kraftwerk being from Germany, and then a kind of reciprocal influence. They went on to influence Berlin techno, were formative influences on that. Again, as I said, Ibiza, techno everywhere over there, DJs, all that. Quite a lot of those people are profoundly influenced by the Belleville Three. Thank you very much for listening.